today's episode, we are going to get started with our audio recorder functionality. Obviously, in the completed version of our project, as we have demoed in the intro, you can actually send voice messages to your chat partner. And in order for us to be able to send a voice message, we need to be able to record the message, store the message, and of course, upload that audio message to our backend so that our chat partner could see it. So the first step in that equation is building out the audio recorder components. And now in the completed version of the project that we see on the simulator here, when we click on this microphone button, we have this nice, beautiful animation. We have this capsule, we have this pulsing animation, and of course, when you click on the record button, it changes from a mic to a red button. And of course, we also have this timer right here, and we have a bunch of things going on. And so we're going to focus on building out this sort of flow today, which is going to be pretty cool. We're not really going to handle the actual audio recorder. I just want us to focus on building out these specific components themselves, the components that sort of shows the current audio recording session, if that's a good one to call it, a good name to call it. So now let's jump back to Xcode and let us get started. So in the to-do, I've already highlighted what we're going to be doing. And it's pretty much just, let's build out this audio recorder components. And the first thing we need to go into our text input area. So let's go find where our text input area is. It's inside of our chats folder underneath the views. We're going to open our text input area. So what do we want to do for our text input area? And as I've showed you just now, whenever you click that microphone button, right, we have a different animation. First of all, it looks like the text field is hidden, right? And then we have this nice capsule that has a timer and has this beautiful pulsing animation. And when you click or when you're done recording, it just goes away and it shows your new recording, right? So we're going to focus on doing that today. And the first thing we need to do is let us change this text field. So this message text field looks like it's going to be slightly more dynamic now, right? It's going to change its shape whenever you actually click on the record button. So I'm going to resume the SwiftUI preview. And then let's see. The first thing we want to do is we want to have some sort of a Boolean logic that lets us know if an audio recording is actually, if we're currently recording an audio, right? And I'm just going to come right up here and I'm going to create a state variable, state private var. Well, actually, I need to say state private var. And we're going to call it recording, right? We want to know if a user is currently recording an audio. So now when this recording is true, of course, it looks like, again, if we go back to our completed version of our project, whenever this is true, whenever this recording is true, it looks like we have a bunch of, conditional statement that swaps out the previous logic or swaps out the previous SwiftUI views. So we swap out our message text field and we change this button. And it looks like we also disable the image picker button and we disable the send button. So there's a lot of things going on there and we're going to take it one at a time. So the first thing first is let us build out this audio recording session view, like basically that session that shows up. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to just I'm going to comment out this message text field for now, and I'm going to replace it. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to replace it with another method. I'm going to create this method and I'm going to call it, let's see, what's a good name? I think audio session indicator view sounds like a good name, right? Because it's just a view that lets you know that you're currently recording an audio message. And what are we going to do in this audio recording session view? I'm going to first put that right up here. Okay. And I'm just commenting out this message text field for now so we can see what we're working on. And this looks like, again, if we go back and we go into the completed version of our project, as you can see, this looks like, it's an H stack. We have a circle that is animating. We have a text, and then we have a space in between and a text at the other extreme end of the, H stack. So let us build that out. So we need an H stack. So I'm going to go right ahead and say H stack. And this H stack, as we saw, has some sort of a system image. So I'm going to say system name, and I believe it's a circle. So it's circle.fill. Okay, and as you can see, it's starting to come along. What else do we need? I'm going to make the foreground style of this red for now, and I'm going to make the font caption just something small. Okay, and then I am going to make, so we need some sort of a scale effect, but we'll come back to that in a second. Let us add the text. We're going to say recording audio, right? Again, if I get out of Xcode and let me show you what we're currently building, when we select this, and then I'm going to screenshot that, let me do that again. I'm going to screenshot that so we see what we're working on. Save to desktop, just so we have a one-to-one comparison of what we are actually trying to build. So let us open up this image. Okay, perfect. So we have what looks like an H stack. We have this circle. We have this record button that changed into some sort of a different image. And then we have this circle, and then we have this text, and then we have this text at the extreme end. So recording audio is the first text. Let us change the font of that a little bit. I'm going to say font as caption. Let me close this left panel so we have more space. And let me resize this just a little bit so we see what we're working with. And so we have our fonts. What else do we need? Let's just make the line limits 1. Not that it really matters, but let's make sure it doesn't flow to 2 lines. And then we need a spacer. As you can see in the completed version, there's a space in between this recording audio and this other timer labeled there. So we have a spacer. What else do we need? Now we need our text that is going to show something like, let's see, for example, 0001. And we're going to make that text, what do we want? We want to make that font caption or callouts. I think callouts is a good one. And let us make this recording audio callouts as well. It's pretty small, but let's make it slightly bigger. Yep, that looks better. Let's make the font weight of our current recording semi-bold, the current timer, I mean. Okay, so that is coming along. I think the last bit that we need is some sort of a background image. We need some sort of a background color. And I'm going to do that right here on top of the H stack itself. So on the H stack, I'm going to add a, first things first, let's add a pattern, right? Let's add a pattern horizontal. So we're going to say pattern horizontal. Let's see what that looks like. That looks too much. Let's just make it 8. We just want a slight spacing, nothing too crazy. The next thing we want to do is let us give it a height. So I'm going to say frame height. And what is this height? Let's make it 30. Okay, that looks good. And then let's give it a max width of infinity. Okay, and let us give it a background, or let's give it a clip shape. Do we need a clip shape right now? Sure, let's give it a clip shape of capsule. And let's give it a background color. So we need some sort of a background. In the completed version of the project, it looks like this capsule. We have a capsule, and then we have this nice little background. I don't know what to call that color. That looks like a pretty nice blue color with some opacity. So we're going to have this background, and I'm going to make the background a rounded rectangle. So I'm going to say background, rounded rectangle with a corner radius as usual. So what's the corner radius going to be? Let's give it something like 20. And the style, let's give it continuous, right? And let's see what that looks like. So that looks pretty good, but we need to add a few more things. Let us fill this rounded rectangle. So I'm going to say fill, and I want to do color.blue, okay? And let's give it a nice opacity so it matches what we have right here. So the opacity is, let's give it something like 0.1, right? Ooh, that looks clean. Okay, that looks good. The next thing we want to do is let us overlay. So that's, as if you can see in the completed version of the project, it has this nice little overlay, this nice little border. And we could just use the exact same overlay that we're using in our message text field, message text field right here. So I'm going to apply that overlay. I'm just going to copy this and apply that overlay on our audio session indicator view. And that looks better. That looks awesome. Look at that. So that's pretty much it. And now we are going to do a little bit of conditional logic. So I'm going to get back into Xcode in full screen mode. And now what I want us to do is I'm going to say, if we are actually recording, then we want to show this audio recording session indicator view. If we're not recording, then of course we want to show our message text field. Message text field. So by default, as you can see already, by default, we're going to have our text field. But let's say, for example, we had let's say the record button. Where is it? Record button, record button. Let's say the record button triggers the is recording to true. So let's just say it's recording, it's not true. So when you click on recording, look at that. It changed to this nice indicator. So let's toggle this. Let's say it's recording, it's toggled. Okay. So now when we click on that record button, it changes to that. When we're done recording, it changes back to the text field. And that's pretty dope because all we're just doing is this nice if-else logic right here. We're just making sure and we're toggling between those two states. Now, the other thing I would like for us to actually handle now is a couple of things. The first thing is I would like for us to have some sort of a timer, right? First things first, I would like for us to have some sort of a timer. And I would also like for us to animate this. So if I click on this again, I would like for us to animate this red to pulse whenever a recording is happening. And also I would like for us to have a timer and track the timer, the elapsed time right here in this text view. So how are we going to do that? Before we do that, actually, I think we need to handle something pretty quickly, which is this disable send button. So in the completed version of the project, we actually disable the send button when it's recording is true, right? So let's say, for example, we had a text here. If I can type in the SwiftUI preview, it's not letting me. Not really sure why it's not working. But generally speaking, whenever there's a text in this text field, this send button is going to be true because the logic is right here. It's saying if the text message is not empty or white space, if it's empty or white space, then disable send button. So what I want to add to this is I also want to check if it's recording. Because if we're actually recording, we want to disable the send button as well. We only want to enable the send button when we're done recording. So that handles that for us. The next thing, like I said, for us is to have some sort of a timer. And here's what I'm going to do. What I would like for us to do is I don't want this, text input area to handle all of this recording logic. I just want it to display the UI, the UI elements. So we're going to migrate or move this logic to our chat room view model. And we can do that by using a very similar method that we've already used, using the user action enum. Now we can come down here and add another case. And let's say, for example, record audio. So record audio is what we're going to fire whenever we click on this record button. And now we're going to go up here. We're going to change this from, we're going to change this from is recording toggle to action handler dot record audio. Okay. So Xcode should yell at us because we do have it in our chat room view model. Now let's jump into our chat room view model and let us fix that case. So this under text input area case or method inside of our chat room view model, we need to add the record audio button or audio use case method. Dude, I'm just like tripping right now. I meant to say we need to fill out this record audio case. So all we need to do now is let's create some sort of a method that is going to handle that for us. So I'm just going to come down here. I'm going to create a method. I'm just going to say toggle audio recorder. I think that's a pretty good name. And what is toggle audio recorder going to do? Well, we're going to get back to that pretty soon. So the first thing I want us to do now is to go back to our chat room screen. So we have our chat room screen. Let's go back to our text input area. Make sure everything is compiling as expected. All right, so the next thing I'd like for us to do is whenever we click this audio recorder button, of course, I would like for us to actually toggle this audio recorder button or this microphone button, and I would like for us to change it. So we have the audio recorder button here. The system name needs to be changed. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say if it is recording, so let's see, if it is recording, let us first put that here, else let's put that here. But what we want to change it to is not mic. If it's recording, we actually want to change it to square.fill, right? And again, let me just come down here and toggle this is recording right underneath this, just for now, just for demo. And so whenever it is recording, it's going to change to this red. It's going to change to the square, right? But we want that square to be red. We don't want it to be white color. So right here where we're having the foreground style, we're going to also have this is recording ternary operator. So we're going to say if it's recording, then it's going to be red, else the foreground color is white. So let's try that now. Okay, that looks pretty good. The next thing I would like for us to do is actually, you know what? The foreground style is okay. It's the background color that we need to change. Sorry, guys. I'm going to Command and Z. Okay, foreground style is okay. It's the background color. So the background color, if it is recording, it is going to be red, else it's blue. So let's try that. That looks pretty good to me. That looks closer to what we have in mind. Okay, the next thing I want us to do is, of course, animate this nice red button, this nice red indicator right here. So it's pulsating. And the way we're going to do that pulse animation is just, let's have a state variable up here, just right next to the is recording. And we're going to do at state. We're going to say is pulse. What's a good name? It's pulsing. I think that's a pretty good name. And what is pulsate, or is pulsing is going to be false upon initialization. And so now we're going to use this pulsing to animate this red circle right here that we have in our audio session indicator view. So what do we want to do here in this audio session indicator view? We actually just want to scale it. That's all we're going to be doing. We want to scale it whenever it is animating. So we're going to say scale effect is pulsing. Okay. If it is pulsing, it's 1.0. It's 1.8, not 1.0. So we want to scale it just slightly. Else it is 1.0. Okay, so now we need this is pulsing to, of course, toggle back and forth, right? And we're going to handle that eventually whenever we get to the actual timer part of this functionality. Because when you're recording on audio, you also need to have a timer that's going to keep track of the sessions or the audio duration. So what I want us to do right now is, so we have the pulsing set up. We have the timer. Well, we don't have a timer yet, and we have this dot animation not yet showing like I want it to. So what I'm going to do really quickly, just for demo purposes, is right here. I'm just going to attach to demo the pulsing animation. Let's just attach a repeating animation inside of our audio recorder button. So right here where we're toggling, I'm just going to come down here and let's see, what do we want to do? Let's just create an animation block really quickly. Animation, and I'm just going to say that ease in out with duration. Okay, and what's a good duration? I think 1.5, and let us repeat it forever. And what do we want now? So with that, I'm just going to say is pulsing dot toggle. I think that's a good one. Okay, so now let us try this. When we click on this microphone button, look at that. We have that nice pulsing animation. Obviously, in the completed version of the project, we want to have a timer, but we're going to handle that in the next episode when we actually roll in the actual audio recorder. And I think that's going to look pretty good. But before we wrap up everything, I would like for us to add another animation. So for example, when we click on this is nicely animating that pulsing animation. But when we're done, I would like for that to transition nicer. So we can use an animation modifier pretty quickly. And what we're going to do is just right after our background color, let's just append an animation modifier. And we're going to use spring animation. And what else? The value is just going to be is recording value. And let us try that now. So let's say record. When we're done recording, I think that looks better. That looks pretty good. Thank you guys for watching as always. In the next episode, we are going to roll in the actual audio recorder, and we're going to be using this toggle audio recorder method that we have in our chat room view model to handle that logic. So as always, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.